Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm your entrepreneurship tutor, Professor Henry Buitz of Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology. This is my second talk on entrepreneurship education and job creation in Africa. And I want to repeat, African universities must create new wines for their new wine entrepreneurship education. So, part 2 of part 1. Now, to fully comprehend this part, look for part 1 on this channel. Yes, research findings are that African universities are teaching mainly about entrepreneurship to make students aware of entrepreneurship. They are also teaching for entrepreneurship to develop entrepreneurial skills. But few are teaching through. That means to develop real business projects. And as they do so, that is an inverted con. Edgar Dale found that in teaching about, we subject students to reading, to lectures, to viewing images like PowerPoints. Most of them, look, the top, most of them, universities are teaching that, but few are teaching about designing, performing a presentation, doing the real thing. That is what that research implies. This was research on teaching methods and programs of entrepreneurship in Kenya, really in Africa, and on the ground, this is what it means. And when we teach mainly about entrepreneurship, we also test mainly about entrepreneurship. And these are the test items that we tend to dwell on to define entrepreneurship, define innovation, define creativity, to list problems facing entrepreneurship in Kenya and Uganda, to describe the policy of entrepreneurship, small enterprise business, explain why there is high mortality of businesses in the country. Those are the type of questions we're dwelling testing items, demonstrate, apply, practice. Those are few in our testing items, and even fewer create a business, evaluate an existing business. They are few, and therefore with that type of knowledge test items, our students get first class honors, but they go out there and they are unable to start businesses, as was noted in part 1 of this video. So, a number of teaching philosophies exist from which higher education institutions teaching entrepreneurship can pick from. Yes, let's look at some of those philosophies. Way back in 450 BC, Confucius said, I hear, I forget. I see, I remember. I do, I understand. Come 1956, and Bloom and others generated what we call the domains of learning: the cognitive domain, the affective domain, the psychomotor domain. As you can see, they correspond with Confucius' categorization of learning and teaching. Then in 1969, Edgar Dale had what he called passive learning and active learning. The cone of learning. We have already referred to it. Teaching, reading, lecturing, that is passive learning. And down the cone is project. And then 1992 org tells us we can learn by the head, by the heart, and by the hand. You see again, the head, I hear and I forget the cognitive domain. The heart, I see, I remember the affective domain. And the hand, I do understand the psychomotor. And we are saying most of our universities learning about the cognitive domain dominates. Rarely do we see learning for, and even uncommon indeed, do we see learning through. And therefore, our graduates of entrepreneurship, because they have not gone through entrepreneurship really, and entrepreneurship has not gone through them, they are not able to start their own businesses, and hence they carry placards looking for wage employment. Now, it looks like the latest 1992 is the head, the heart, and the hands. The head is knowledge, the heart is attitude, and the hands is skills. So, when we are teaching our students, yes, let's start by telling them about it. Let's look at the cognitive learning in classroom. But let us also transform them. The affective learning in the field. Get them out of the classroom. Let them go to the field. And then let them do it. Learning. Kolb talked about experiential learning. Psychomotor learning on a project. So we have the head, the heart, and the hand. The head IQ, to know. The heart EQ, to feel, to want to be. The hand BQ, to become. So there it is. The cognitive intelligence, that is the head, logic and analytic. Give the knowledge in class. I do that in 25% of the semester. The heart, the EQ, the emotional, affective intelligence, empathy, regulating emotions. So allow the students to go to the field and feel it. And I do that in 50% of the semester. And then the BQ, behavioral, psychomotor intelligence, effective, impactful behavior. So allow the students to practice in the field and even the classroom. And I do again that 25% when they come back to the classroom to present. Many of them are presenting what they have started. And therefore, a number of my students have started businesses while they are still on campus. Yes, the K, A, and S are knowledge, attitude, and skills. You may want to stop the video here and study this slide again. Now, back to the three-tier approach which we saw in part 1. Teaching about entrepreneurship, teaching for entrepreneurship, and through entrepreneurship. And now let us introduce the head, the heart, and the hand. You see, teaching about entrepreneurship is in the cognitive domain. Teaching for entrepreneurship is in the affective domain. And teaching through entrepreneurship is the psychomotor domain. So, at that early level in the classroom, the 25% that I've talked about, give them motivation. Let them start saying, oh, I can be an entrepreneur. I want to be an entrepreneur. Motivate them. when it comes to learning for, that is now entrepreneurial intentions. Let the students now feel they can plan to be. They have known, they have been motivated. Let them now plan to be. And finally, the behavior. Let them say, I am an entrepreneur. And indeed, we can do that. Students can start being entrepreneurial on campus. So, my approach, cognitive domain in the classroom, 25% of the semester. In class, learning and reading, reference material. That is when my students start feeling they can be entrepreneurs. And then a whole 50% of the semester, the affective domain, I send them to the field. They learn and experience. I am planning to be an entrepreneur out there in the field. And then finally, another 25% of the semester on psychomotor, they come back to class to present the experiences. And many of them say, yes, I am now an entrepreneur. Indeed. And they have managed to start businesses on campus. And project-based learning, when the students are in the field, there is cooperative learning going on. Students work together in small groups on a structured activity. They are individually accountable for their work, and the work of the group as a whole is also assessed. Cooperative groups work face to face and learn to work as a team. That is the approach, and that is supposed to improve the higher education entrepreneurship on the continent. Yes, back to the head, the hand, the heart, and the hand. It is those three, the cognitive, the affective, the psychomotor, that leads to success. In the head, we form an idea. In the heart, we feel and dream. And then we put our hands on it and we do. So there we are. 3 weeks in a semester. My students are in class. I teach them about entrepreneurship and problem solving. I let the students identify problems. So, the cognitive domain, the head, 3 weeks. 8 weeks, they are in the field. Students experience and feel the problem, design its solution, and embark on its implementation. The affective domain, the heart. And finally, they come back from the field to the classroom. They present solutions for peer review. They may start businesses or sell the idea or indeed be incubated. And that's one thing we lack again in Africa, business incubation. On campus, students, business incubation. So the psychomotor domains, the hands. This is how I've been doing teaching entrepreneurship for now more than 20 years. And results, I have seen my results. How do I assess them? Yes. First, for knowledge, I want to know what they have learned. So there may be written tests or examinations, even open book examinations. And indeed, this takes only 15%. And then the attitude. For entrepreneurship, attitude is important. If you have a wrong attitude of, let's say, roasting maize on the street to grow into outside catering, if the attitude is wrong, you won't start that business. So, how do they feel? That's when I test self-assessment tests. I observe them at presentations and I see the attitude. And finally, the skills, what they can do. Again, observation and presentations, and the product. So my knowledge gets only 15%. The attitudes and the skills take 85. You see, 30 and 55. So I test more of the practical, what they can do in the field, than what they know in the head. Now, let me take an example of one subject, economics for entrepreneurs. An economist, professional economist, may not be able to teach economics for entrepreneurs. And entrepreneurs do not require all the economics that the economist requires. So let's go. How will I teach economics? 3 weeks in the classroom. I teach about entrepreneurship and economics, compare them, market forces versus innovation, competition versus monopoly, equilibrium and disequilibrium in the cognitive domain. You see, because of innovation, entrepreneurs always disrupt the equilibrium. And entrepreneurs don't wait for the market forces. Through innovation, they improve, they add value, and the price mechanism is therefore defeated in that case. When they introduce something new, they become monopolist on that thing until competition comes in. And therefore you can see that entrepreneurship and economics, they may be similarities, but they are not identical twins. And then, having taught them those principles and concepts in economics and entrepreneurship, for 8 weeks, I allow them go to the field. In groups, students discuss innovation and market forces and equilibrium, probably observing existing businesses. They read, discuss, and experience pricing behavior of entrepreneurs and non-entrepreneurs. They design pricing solutions and embark on their implementation. How can we implement these different pricing mechanisms? And then 3 weeks they come back. That is now students present solutions for peer review. They may start consultants businesses. They may sell the idea or be incubated. And therefore you can see the cognitive domain, the affective domain, the psychomotor domain, the head, the heart, the hands. Yes, I have done this for over 20 years and it works. It doesn't matter the numbers of students I'm teaching. I have done it. I have taught 120 students in a class and I've managed to do that. I've taught as few as 6. So it's proven. Numbers don't matter. After all, entrepreneurship means innovation. You have to be innovative to handle different situations, and it can be done. Yes, if you enjoyed it, like it, comment, share, subscribe, and really thank you for listening.